Guys for tuning in. Welcome to Women in the Workplace. I have three beautiful women here. Vanna to my right, at center Nina, and to my left Josie, whose phone just went off. You guys can laugh.
What happened? That was actually my phone.
Okay. Alright, so let's get started. One of the things I really want to start off by saying here is and again, this is just the theme of women in the workplace. Have you ladies, do you feel this political economy is bringing more misogyny to the world right now, to the workplace?
Honest. Yeah, probably. I think it might do the opposite though, because I feel like people are a lot more conscious of what they're saying.
Would you differ any, Nina?
I just think the environment, the political environment itself is pretty toxic as a whole, and it's hard to isolate that from everyday life, you know? I'm not personally experiencing that, but it doesn't mean that there are people out there who aren't. So it's easy to see, like, when your own president is saying these misogynistic things, that there are not going to be some people who are echoing that in the workplace.
Yeah.
Josie, I want to ask you, do you think things would be different if Hillary was president?
I do, actually. Just because the fact that a woman president would, make it a little bit different in history. I could tell my daughter she could be a president. It hasn't happened yet. So, just on that fact. I don't know if everything else would be different, but as a woman, it would be different to say, oh, United States had a woman president.
Another thing I wanted to kind of ask here, and Josie, maybe you'd be best to answer this. Have you ever been judged, like in the workplace, by the way you look?
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, I can't say all the time, but I'm a barber, and I'm not your typical woman barber either. You know, your typical woman barber is all tatted up, and I look fairly young. Thank you. Definitely there's guys that come in and they're like, oh, I want a men barber because, men are the best barbers. And I'll be like, okay, I have 14 years of experience and I'm not all tatted up. I'm not your typical barber, but I could do the job. Yeah.
Very interesting. And sad to hear sometimes, like just having to go through that. Vanna, can you tell me about a time, if you have had a time, where you kind of had to hold your tongue from like either an inappropriate comment or like advances in the workplace?
I don't know about advances, but I do feel like men seem very comfortable talking in kind of like the so-called locker room talk in the workplace. And they won't think twice whether you're around that, exposed to that, or even referenced in that kind of conversation.
Have you had an incident where you've had something man-splained?
Yeah, I think it's happened more than I can probably process. I think it's so embedded in every experience that you have growing up. Like, you don't think about the fact that something is being mansplained to you. It's just kind of you've accepted this role that people play as reality, and you kind of just, it's hard to take yourself away from it and be like, oh, this is a situation where someone talked down to me, instead of like, oh, this is just another situation.
Nina, I kind of want to go over to you now. as a woman, are you often designated or expected to do like clerical housekeeping tasks?
Yeah, I mean, and when you're in the workplace and someone asks you to do something like that, like you're an employee, so it's not really something where you can be like, oh no, I'm above that, I'm not going to do that. But you can see that your male coworkers aren't being asked the same thing. So it's kind of like you're in a situation, you can't help it, and you just kind of, okay, yeah, I guess I'll clean up, I'll organize. So yeah, it's.
What is a way, I guess, that we can like raise consciousness to avoid this kind of like mistreatment, or just kind of like these just little, these little occurrences that kind of go like, unquestioned.
You raise boys and men better. Like you can't. It's goes the same with like rape culture. It's like always blaming the woman and not being like, oh well, let me raise guys differently
But
to change that.
Sorry to interrupt, but sadly, women are raising these men.
Yeah.
So sad.
Which goes to what I was saying earlier, that we become a part of the system.
Yeah.
We feel
I
like
agree.
the way that we're treated is the way we should be treated because
Yeah.
that's how we've always been treated.
Yeah, it's
So
a vicious
it's
cycle,
hard.
to be honest.
It's hard to look outside of something that you can't understand or see.
No, that's,
So
yeah.
so I mean it's all connected, definitely.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like women, we were raised to raise our sons one way, and then our daughters the other way. So, even like movies. Like I was watching a movie from back in the day, and I was like, the woman's supposed to do this, and men are, and not so far back, a TV show. And there was this girl where sex was okay with a guy, but sex was not okay with the girl.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like really?
I mean, you don't have to look that far back. You can see
Yeah.
Any-
Still going
Still
on.
happening.
movie.
Really, yeah.
Another question I guess I wanted to kind of get into that I've noticed also in the workplace is like having that inappropriate, like just kind of rude comment, like where someone kind of points out an imperfection. Can any of you kind of go like a little more detail in that? Like, is it a frequent occurrence?
I don't-
or expectation, I guess.
I don't think I can recall a specific moment, but I think my appearance has always been commented on at the workplace. There's never been a job I've had where my appearance hasn't been a topic of conversation.
Yeah, I agree on that. Like, even though I'm a barber, not your typical like, women's working place, definitely they treat you different. They tip you different. If you are nice and like all dolled up and look so cute, they're like, okay, here's $10, sweetie.
With all these obstacles, that you guys kind of like have to deal with in a daily basis, like how do you find the light, the strength to embrace yourself and kind of keep moving forward?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Oh, the next generation, right? The people that the boys are coming, at least.
It's definitely not us.
What now?
We missed the boat.
We missed that one.
Sorry, but we could do something about it,
We
right?
were not the change.
Well, for me, at least, is the next generation. I have kids. I have lots of boys. So I constantly think about like, what am I gonna teach my boys to make a difference?
Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time to speak with me. Let me get in frame here. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and this is Women in the Workplace. Cheers!
Woo!
That was fast. Give it up.